So, that was such a nice lead-in, I did stumble into poetry. I was trying to find a class at Cal State Northridge when I was doing my teaching credential, and I had to have an evening class because I was working during the daytime. And there was this thing called verse writing, and I went, what the hell is that? But it's the perfect time, 7 to 10 on Tuesday. I went in and I met Ben Saltman, and I just stumbled into this class, and poetry, the short lines got me. So I am the pleasant recipient of a merry band of supporters and artists in Malibu who are just striving and doing their best, and have been for years, to bring art and bring culture, to raise it in Malibu. And I always like to tease Ellen and say that she had the only salon going on, poetry salon going on. She brought us through the dark ages. So I'm going to start with, you mentioned students, and I've been very fortunate. I've been working with students for a number of years, and I know I find it very satisfying, like you do, Phil. You work with quite a few students. And this last couple of weeks, I was in a workshop in Pacoima, at the 5th grade in Pacoima Elementary, which has nothing to do with Malibu, but that's something that I've been doing for years, and is very enjoyable. I think it's good for those students over there as well. And then I also had a workshop going on at the high school, Malibu High School, during the massacre at Stoneman Douglas. So I was so impressed to be a part, or I should say it sounds odd that I was fortunate to be a part of the students when they were going through the tragedy. And they are impressive. The students in Malibu had a march from the beach up, and it was only students who put it on. There was no adults. I mean, we were allowed to attend, but you were there, Ellen. They talking, and there was poems, and there was music. It was incredible. So, I was born in 1950, and so I was this close to being drafted into the Vietnam War, and I always felt like that we did something back then. We had a movement. We did stop a war, and we helped. I won't say create, but we worked hard on human rights. And I haven't felt this good since this generation. I think this generation might do something. Because, don't you think? Yeah. So I'm going to start with a poem that, all the poems have something to do with the students. Let's see. Excuse me. Let me see if I can see this. No, I'm going to need glasses. It's called Corrido for los Dreamers, Song for the Dreamers. When Dick Acuna sprayed his armpits with 25-cent cologne in the bathroom of the office bar, he had to stand on the tips of his work boots. Sears best, honey smooth leather, sliced across the top from barbed wire. He had to stand so he could mimic a ballerina in dirty white t-shirt, eyeglasses and toes of sand, California desert sand in the stitches and on the concrete floor, under the urinal and the colored and ribbed prophylactic machine. Orale, orale, viejito, he yells. Dick Acuna is the funniest man I ever knew. He calls me a little old man, maybe because I can hear my father. gunning the 49 Ford pickup, painted white with spray cans from Pep Boys. Or because I can feel him taste the warm Budweiser and drink it anyway, quickly. But I can't stop laughing as Dick Acuna dances, wiggles his hips, arches his back, spins for each white t-shirted armpit. The Old Spice so sharp, I looked in the mirror to see who had slapped my face. I had no fear of sand. Sure, I heard footprints, but I could barely speak la lengua. So how would I know the secrets told at my bisabuela's house in Pomona on Sundays? I didn't know from any of that. La migra, La migra, coyotes, pollos, mojados, undocumented. I was with Dick Acuna in the desert. I pushed the 25-cent plunger with both hands. Thank you. Remember Dick Acuna, Dad? Yeah. He was a funny man, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So, I'm going to continue with, this is the day that this poem, actually the day that this event occurred, it was like a series of snapshots, like a Hockney painting. You know how he does those Polaroids. And later when I went to write the poem, it was just all those just tumbling out. So, and it was the mothers and the children that I really remembered. This is called One Missing Shoe. What I saw on the Culver City alley at 6:30 a.m., laid out face down, sweatshirt bunched up the middle of his back, no socks in that cold morning drizzle before the bus pulled up on Venice Boulevard, but didn't stop. Before I knew, I was alone, fixed in a tired Ford truck bent with sand and cement, waiting for Angel to open the door, green lights to speed us to our job, before mothers gently push their children to school, button them close and hug them, whether they want it, ecstatic as termites after a rain, free to beat tender wings for a moment before the wet earth calls them back. That's how I knew. Dried blood black. One missing shoe. I'm a tile setter, so that was the work reference in there. Angel and I are tile setters. We've been working together for 25 years. No, longer than that, 27 years. So, long time with one person. You can imagine I don't know, who is the job wife and who's the job husband, but we get along really well. I'm going to finish with one last poem, and I made that reference that about Vietnam and how I felt like this new generation could take it on. I think I feel that they got it. They got the fervor, and they just got to keep on at it, right? Yeah. So this is my poem about the Vietnam War. It's called "Love You Long Time." The Vietnam War began on a school night, the night Cernak stole his brother's MG convertible. Spring of 1965 and cold, still we left the top down. The MG low to the ground, easy to push out of the driveway, down the street, hop into the seat without using the door. Natural thing to do at 15, in spite of algebra homework. The underlined verbs of Caesar's letters from Gaul, cell reproduction. A letter in B football, typing proficiency, frozen turkey won in a race at Thanksgiving, and a girl were all that I hoped for at an all-boys Catholic high school in the San Fernando Valley. A girl who might be thrilled with a sports car, a girl like Natalie Wood with her eyes and lips and hair, wearing bell-bottoms, tight top cut low, easy to hop into is a dark green MG convertible, crashed for lack of driving skill in front of the Bullwinkle statue on Sunset Boulevard. 2 blocks away, half a click from the Seeds at Pandora's Box. What continues into the next generation shouldn't surprise me. My son knows nothing of the coming war, nothing of conscription, a gym bag packed tight, plus one select color snapshot. The family around a table at a lake in the driveway, eyes gathered on the body count. When do I tell my son about Cernik, car thief and lottery pick, draft of '68, killed in action our year after high school? When do I tell him it's the natural thing to do at 18? Thank you so much.